Also, while the audio and video part gets set up, a great number of you came and met with me yesterday in Beaver Lodge for the project. If you also would benefit from having a conversation with me about the project, you can come before or after school any day. Just let me know what day so I can make sure I'm here. I'm also free first period of every day, so if you have late arrival, come then. But use that time.
I don't trust you.
There we go.
Who is that?
Me and my son. Okay. Anybody need anything? You're good.
How's everyone today? You guys sound asleep. How is everyone today? Good. All right, thank you. My name is Alberto Moreno. I am indeed the Executive Director for the Oregon Latino Health Coalition. I also am the governor-appointed chair for the Commission on Hispanic Affairs, which is a commission that exists in Oregon statute and is charged with advising the state legislature and the governor on the needs and contributions of the Latino community in Oregon. And I'm the former migrant health director for the state, which is why I know a little bit about migrant and seasonal farm workers. Thank you. And folks, can you still see the slides? And my apologies for the low resolution and the low quality. My presentation is fairly low tech, and I want to apologize to you for that. But as our community migrates here to the U.S., we don't just have to bridge about 3,000 miles worth of distance. We actually also have to travel about 2,000 years in terms of time and technology. And what I mean by that is that you'll see me struggle with this technology today, and clearly it's reflected in the low quality of the slide presentation that I put together for you. But the reason I struggle is because the last instrument that I used in the village that I come from in Mexico were stone instruments. I'm not exaggerating the point. Literally, we were subsistence farmers and many of our tools were made out of stone. So I tell you that because I want you to begin to imagine the kind of trajectory and the kind of arc that it takes many of our community members to travel, not just 3,000 miles of distance, but 3,000 years of time and technology and learning. And so I want you to be patient with me, and I want to invite you to see that person in me. I know that I'm wearing a sports jacket and can speak English fairly well, depending on the day and what's happening for me in my day. But I want you to see a 9-year-old Mexican boy following his father with a borrowed team of horses in the Sierra Madre of Mexico, a very small village with no running water, no electricity. I've never seen a car ever in my life. And I want you to imagine me at the age of 8 years old following my father as he's leading a team of horses, and I am dropping a seed of corn every other step to plant our crops, which is the only thing we have. I want you to see that that person resides in this body, because I want you to see the juxtaposition of who I am now and who I was then. And I want you to begin to conceive of that contradiction of realities in your classmates. I want you to see that as possible. I want you to see that as possible in the busboys in the restaurants that you go to, in the waiters. I want you to see it in the construction workers, and I definitely want you to see it in the farm workers that toil in our fields. Generally, I start my presentation by asking you a question. Today I want to start my presentation by giving you the answer. And this is the answer. Your task now is to figure out what the question is. Do you think you can do that by the end of the presentation? This is an AP class, right? No. Oh, shoot, okay, I'm in the wrong place. No, I'm kidding. You guys are as smart, if not smarter than the AP class, I'm sure of it. But I want to do something before that happens. I brought a bag of potatoes. Don't laugh. This will all make sense, I promise, at the end. What I want you to do is I want you to open the bag fully, or take a potato and then pass it along to your colleagues next to you. Just one potato, please, per person. So the answer is 69 cents and 24 years, and I'm going to ask you to begin to think about what the question is. But you're probably wondering, why should I care about migrant farm workers? That is, how are the issues faced by migrant farm workers relevant to me? And Wendell Berry Holmes reminds us that eating is an agricultural act. How many in this room eat? Are there a couple of folks who are not raising their hands? All right, everybody eats. I hope everybody eats. Thank you. I'm getting worried about you. So that's why the issues faced by farm workers are relevant to us, because we all eat thanks to their work and their labor. I want to start with a broad overview of the nation and Latinos, and then we're going to drill down from farm workers nationally to farm workers here in Oregon based on an enumeration study which I commissioned when I was at the state. These numbers, some of them are outdated. Sometimes they actually reflect the most recent data that's available. So it's not that I haven't looked for newer figures. It's just that the first disparity that our community faces is a disparity of data. And you'll get to see that later on. But there are about 56.6 million Latinos in the US. I know that has changed in the last 2 years. Give us a chance and we'll increase our population in 2 seconds flat. We represent over $1.5 trillion in buying power nationally. This is probably something you don't get to hear a lot about. We always have people talking about our deficits. Folks generally do not talk about our strengths, but I want to begin to change that for you. So we represent over $1.5 trillion in buying power in the US. Undocumented workers generate goods and services worth more than $120 billion a year in the US. You probably also don't hear that on Fox News. By the way, where do you think this money's going? $120 billion is no small sum of money. We're not talking millions, we're talking billions. Where do you think that money ends up? Any guesses? Yes?
Companies?
No, at least not directly. How many of you have heard about illegals don't pay taxes? How many of you have heard that said somewhere? So this flies in the direct face of that statement. This is the actual reality. Are undocumented workers able to get welfare? What about Social Security? Okay. So by the way, this is where that money ends up. It goes into a suspense fund at the federal treasury. And guess what that money gets used for? What's that?
Welfare and Social Security.
For whom?
For people who, like, for non-Latinos.
For US citizens,
Yeah.
mostly white, elderly folks. And so what's happening is we are literally subsidizing Social Security benefit payments and Social Security benefits for white Americans, not only through our work, but also through taxes that we pay into the system that we're not able to claim benefits against. So very important to begin to shift the narrative that you're carrying internally. Documented and undocumented Mexican immigrants pay 25 to 30 billion in taxes each year. That's, I believe, nationally. And then while we make fairly significant contributions to the US, we still face some of the worst health outcomes in the US and then here in Oregon. For example, 1.2 million Mexicans in the US have been diagnosed with diabetes. It's the leading chronic health condition for us. Nationally, it continues to grow, followed, I think, a close second. Maybe it has changed by obesity. Cardiovascular disease is the leading cause of death among Latinos nationwide. And despite high levels of employment, 60% of our families live in incomes below 200% of the poverty line, and that's in comparison to 23% of whites, just to give you some reference. What is a migrant and seasonal farm worker? There's several federal definitions about what a farm worker is, what a seasonal farm worker is, and what a migrant farm worker is. And it depends on which federal program you're talking about. But for our intents and purposes, our seasonal farm worker is someone who works in agriculture a majority of the time, that is 51% or more, and is employed on a seasonal basis. A migrant farm worker is the same definition, but it's someone who has a temporary abode. That is to say, they do not have a permanent home. So that's the difference between seasonal and migrant. Does that make sense? Great. So in the US, there are 3 to 5 million farm workers who pick our fruits and vegetables. This major labor force, believe it or not, was actually invited here